Okay, this is my YouTube channel. I just woke up. So excuse the way I look. Don't want to make it fun. I just felt compelled to get on here and talk about religion and my clocks playing Amazing Grace, really. Anyway, from the time I was born, I was in church. And I ended up in this church that I went to for years. That was more like a theological seminary class, because we took notes. We conjugated verbs from the original languages and interpreted them in the time in which they were written, because evidently whoever did it obviously didn't do a good enough job. And the first thing in Genesis, after they sinned, God knew they sinned, and God knew exactly where they were in the garden. He wasn't going, "Where are you? I can't find you." They hid from Him. But God can't be in the presence of sin. And that is the whole premise of every freaking religion of why Jesus had to be born. And that's why Adam and Eve had to have children, so Jesus could be born. Now, try to follow the logic here, because it's not logical. And then God had to come down to be Jesus, to die on the cross, to atone for our sins so He can have a relationship with us once again. Well, He's not a very powerful God. And He also says His love never fails in the Bible. Well, if one person goes to hell, then His love failed, didn't it? Okay. And it says, after God created Adam and Eve, He brought them together, and He said, "Be fruitful and multiply," before they sinned. That means they must have had kids before they sinned. So that's not logical. Oh, they had to have kids because they had to be saved somehow and reunited with God, and they were kicked out of the garden, and God no longer came and talked to them and taught them. Okay. Follow the logic here. Actually, it says in the Bible that her punishment was, "You will now bear children in pain." So obviously, there was a before when you had children without pain. That would be the logical conclusion of that statement, I think. And this church I went to, we went to every single night. That was our life. That's where I met my husband when I was 15. And we never dated. Got married when we were 20. And then he went through the police academy. I helped him study. Felt like I went through the police academy. And he became a Houston police officer. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't do drugs. His family seemed like the perfect family. They were never divorced, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something I didn't have growing up as a child. I wanted a stable family for my kids. And this man went to the same church I did, studied the same stuff. I almost said shit. Stuff that I did. And when my daughter was 4.5, I found out he was molesting her. And it was like having an atomic bomb, no, a nuclear bomb, thrown into my life. Shoop. And I had to question everything I believed in. And how this could have happened to me, because I did everything right. I didn't drink. I didn't run around having sex. I waited till I got married. I married a guy that was like the guy next door, okay? The last person you think would do something like that. And I thought he was my soulmate. It just goes to show you, you never really know if you know somebody or not. Anyway, going beyond that, back to religion. It says jealousy is a sin. But then it turns around and says, your God is a jealous God. Okay. Try to wrap your head around that one. That's just one inconsistency in this whole book that's so masterfully written. And people have made so many different religions from this one book. And they overlook everything that doesn't fit in with what they believe and make it a religion, okay? You can't do that. If you're going to say one thing in the Bible is true, you have to say everything in the Bible is true. And if you look at it, really look at it, it'll drive you crazy because it's inconsistent. Okay, this God you're worshiping told Abraham, go kill your son. Then he said, I guess just to see if he would do it. And then he said, I was just kidding, don't do it. What kind of guy does that? And what kind of a person goes and is going to kill their son because some God told them to? And then he says, I'm not a God of sacrifice. What the hell do you think the cross is all about? God the Father sent his only son to die, to save the world from their sins, so God can bring his people back to him, as if he couldn't do it himself. That's insane. I mean, really, it's insane to believe that. And I know people go, oh my God, she's committing blasphemy. She's saying Jesus didn't really die on the cross for our sins. She's going to hell. Well, I guess God failed me then. His love failed me. Gee. Guess that's not true, huh? And then on top of it, look at Job, his most faithful servant. And this God that can't be around sin and Jesus had to come save us from our sins, is sitting up there with the most evil creature in the universe, supposedly, Satan himself, gambling with Job's life, taking away he goes, well, I'll take you on that bet. Take away this and he won't worship you. I'll take that bet. Okay, and then it went on and on and on, if you know what happened to Job. He lost his money, his family, his health, his sanity, everything. What is God doing up there with the biggest sinner and most evil creature, supposedly, that he had to kick him out of heaven? What is he sitting up there gambling with his most faithful servant's life, putting him through hell? Really? I mean, what was his point? What kind of loving God would do that? Think, people. Wake up and look at what you're actually believing in. Because Jesus dying on the cross is child sacrifice, which is supposedly the most evil thing on the earth that only Satanists do and cults do. Like my father, who's the head of one. Okay? God is going to commit child sacrifice? Really? Think about it. Open your eyes. People, open your eyes and wake up. Wake up from this horrible dream that's not even consistent in its own teachings in the Bible. And look at what this belief in this God has done to this world. How many people have been murdered and killed in the name of this God? Would he really want that if he was a loving God? Would he want his people killing each other? Oh, my God is the real God. No, my God is the real God. Well, guess what, people? None of your gods are the real God. Think about that.